Man, I think the hardest thing about vulnerability is vulnerability itself. No, but like for real though, the hardest thing about vulnerability is honestly prior violation, right? I mean, that's everybody's thing is like when you've been violated in any kind of way, it makes being vulnerable that much harder because now you have probably developed the instability of not trusting yourself. And especially if you have put yourself or been in situations that you kind of put yourself in or ended up in, and you kind of was like, how did this happen? Like, where you try to go about things the right way and it still didn't work out. And so you find yourself lacking trust for your own decision making. And when you walk with God, He not only restores your discernment and restores your relationship with Him, but He restores your relationship with yourself because you have the Holy Spirit and He's sharpening you and walking with you. He restores that trust within yourself for you to realize you're not who you used to be without Him. And you can trust yourself to make better decisions because you now lean upon Him. And so that healing journey is a whole thing within itself because you find yourself really distrusting your decision making because you do not want to end up in that place of hurt again, especially when you're someone who has trauma. And trauma is such a big thing that shapes people's lives, that the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy at such a young age. And a lot of people tend to not address trauma until they're well up until their age, or they've already had children, or they're already in relationships. And they don't realize how much the trauma takes a toll on how they think, the decisions they make, the way they believe, even because the enemy has planted a seed so deep. And so vulnerability is really affected by your childhood and the experiences you've had throughout your life. But God calls us to vulnerability. And in order to be in relationship with Him or anyone else and to even do ministry, it takes vulnerability. In order to worship, it takes vulnerability. Intimacy requires vulnerability. And I think that's been one of the hardest things is when God is breaking down all the walls, He's requiring you to be vulnerable. And it's something that's needed.